Hi everybody, good day. Um, so today we'll be looking at pivot tables. All right. This is a recording to augment our day 9 session. Actually had that recording. We had an issue with the recording where um, we couldn't get the audio. I mean, we didn't record the audio, so this is to replicate the class as best as possible. Okay, so we're looking at pivot tables today, and before then, I know in the class we looked at the if function, if with the s, if with the s, right? When you are working with multiple conditions, right? Okay, so let's look into that again for the purpose of reference, and then we'll go to pivot tables quickly. So I just open on that sheet, and we'll work with the regions and the total revenue generated, right? Okay, so just copy this. Yeah, so a unique function. I mean, you can copy and paste, remove duplicates. We know how this is done. Okay, just to here's the regions and revenue. So total revenue to equal the sum if. Just want to get it here so that we'll work with that. So the range, some range is the region. F4 criteria is Australia and Oceania. And then the next is the sum range, which is our total revenue. This column, right? And close. There we go. Change this to currency. Okay, so we talked about ifs, right? Let me zoom in so that it's easier to view. So ifs. Now, say we have a region target of $15 million. Just change this to currency, right? And we want to get, okay, I want to get, I don't know so if the total revenue got is above the region target, we put above. If it's the same, we put same, and it's below. If it's below, we put below. Okay, just move this here. For the purpose of this class, I'm just gonna add, just for the learning, another region called Antarctica with 15 million. So we get the same vibe. Okay, so let's see the target target classification to know if based on their revenue it's above, below or same. Imagine if there were more data points, and I mean with this you could easily look at them, right, and figure it out. But what if there were more data points and you couldn't do that just by merely looking? Okay, so Australia and Oceania. So we want to classify the total revenues from each of the regions into the ifs. Now, start to equal the ifs. Remember, we use if for a single criteria. But then ifs when we are putting multiple logical tests, and ifs, the function ifs comes in Office in Excel 2019 and above. I think 2019, yeah, 2021, and Office 365, yeah. So those below, there is also a way to work around it where you use nested ifs, which I'm gonna show, like I showed in the class the other day. With on Google Sheets, you have access to ifs, so you could also try this out there. Okay, so ifs, the first is the logical test one, second value if true one, and then on and on it goes. I understand you can do can put up to 120 conditions, right? So if logical test, our first logical test is if this is greater than the original target, so where we'll always lock it, F4, right? Or fix it, comma, value, next is value if true. So if our total revenue is equal to, or rather is greater than the original target, the value if true is what we want to return. So if the value if true is going to be above, so put the quotes in double quotes, put above. Yes. And the next on our mapping is logical test 2. So for ifs, there is no else. There's a way to work around it, but we just have if value if true, next logical test. So it considers only true values if true, else it ignores the rest. Okay, so we've got our first ifs when the total revenue is greater than the region's target. The next is logical test 2. That's if B2 is equal to the regional target, we lock it. You know why we're locking it, right? Absolute reference, and we lock it so that when we stretch it down, it doesn't, I mean, this other point, the regional target doesn't go down, it doesn't spread, right? So it just stays on the region target cell B13. So if B2 is equal to B13, then comma value if true, same. And then the next is logical test 3. If B2 is less than the regional target, we lock it, value if true, we put below. Okay, so here we see ifs gives room to put multiple if statements, that's multiple conditions, multiple logical statements. So here we are saying, hey, look at total revenue for Australia. If it is greater than the region target, 15 million, put above, return above. If it is equal to the region target, put same. And if it is less than the region target, put below. That's what this is, and we hit the enter button. So this gives below, and we check this aligns. So here we see below 14 million is below 15, 9 is below 33, 39 they're above, and all that and all that. That's how we use the ifs function. Okay, yeah, hope that's clear. Now, I said if you don't have the ifs in your computer, we are using Office 2016 and below. Before the advent of ifs, we used the what we call the next nested if statements, where we put multiple if criteria to solve our problem. So let's see how we can run with that. So here we go. So same thing we want to do. So here is equal to if. So nested if is where you put multiple if conditions, right? So for if you have logical test, value if true, value if false, right? So here what we do is we put the logical test and then the value if true. And if the value is false, we put another if. So if the value is false, let's just see how it's done. So if the first is the logical test, right? So if this total revenue bit true is greater than the region our target, we lock it. The value if true is going to be above, right? The value if false is gonna be another if. So the value if false is like, okay, fine. But what we're trying to say is, hey, check this. If it is above the original target, put above. If it is not, then check. As I was saying, if this same, if B2, the original target, the total revenue rather, is equal to the region target. I lock it. Value if true, put same. Value if false, value if false, put, so value if false, we put another if. That's why it's called the nested if in if. So value if false, if the same revenue is less than division target, put value if true below, and value if false, leave it blank. So usually when we put a double quote, it means blank, when we put a double quote, we're declaring a text or anything that is not a numerical value. All right, so if we put two double quotes and there's nothing inside, it means it's a blank. Then we'll have to close the brackets for each of the ifs. If you notice, this is a purple, it closes this purple bracket. We put another one to cover the red, and we put another one to close it all out. I hit the enter button and it shows below. Drag it down and we see the same results. Now, I'll just go through this again. So we have the logical statement, value if true, value is false. So the first if, that's why it's called a nested if, and if. So if B2, that's this, is greater than the region target, if Australia's total revenue is greater than the region's target, the value if true is going to be above. So now for value if false, so if the value is false, you now check again. If the value is false, that means if B2 is not greater than B13, then check if B2 is equal to B13. If B2 is equal to B13, then put same. If B2 is not equal to B13 yet, still, then check if B2 is less than B13. If it is, put below. So there are three possible outcomes from this. It's either it's above, equal to, same, or it's below, right? So that's why I'm putting the three conditions here. And then last is value if false. So when we've put all the conditions, the value if false, I put a blank. So it's going to return a blank, or you can put whatever. You can put not applicable or NA, right? Inside the quotes. Close the brackets, ensure everyone is closed, like it differentiates via color. So the purple closes this purple, the red this red, and then the black this black. Then you're good to go. You hit your enter button, right? And okay, sorry, I know usually one would have the room to ask questions, but yeah, this is a solo recording. Okay, so let's look into pivot tables now. What are pivot tables? Pivot tables are basically pivot table is basically a way of summarizing data, um, a large set of data, like a large data set. You have a large data set like this. This is not so large, but then this is a lot of data. A pivot table summarizes it, like all the sum ifs and count ifs we've been doing. The pivot table will do that without you needing to use any formula. All right, so let's take a look at it. So this is our sales records data. If you go to your sales records data, you just click on anywhere on the data set, any of the cells, then you go to insert. You click on the insert key and you see pivot table and click on it. When you click on pivot tables, this box shows up. You see the table range, new sheets, every you don't need to change anything. It's gonna open in new sheet. This shows the range, of your data. So we're taking our data from A1 to N101, which is correct. So, and we want to do our works on a new sheet. So I click on OK. Then here's the new sheet. I'll just move this here to the end, and I'll call this pivot table. Pivot tables. Okay. So you'd notice something to your left. You see this called this section, pivot table, and then to your right you see pivot table fields. If you notice at this, there's a list of all the columns, the column headers of your source file, the sales records. Here we have region, country, item, sales, priority, and all that. So in the sales records, see region, country, item type, sales records, priority, and the rest. So what the pivot table does, it helps you summarize data. So you have them listed at the top. At the lower part, you have filter, you have column, you have row, you have value. So filter, when you're using the filters, it implies that you want to, yes, and filter in, maybe check based on setting, maybe you want to filter, look into a particular region only. You add your filter here. We're going to see how to do that. Columns, of course, we know our columns. If you are um, working with columns. If you want your values displayed in different columns, and then in the rows, you have your rows horizontally. And then the values, anything you're summing up, anything you want to calculate, like total revenue and cost goes in here. So let's see our most calculated value, sum of revenue per region. Here, this is region, you drag it down here. You could drag it to the row, or you could as well just click on it and it moves to the row. Okay, you could also right click and click on add to row. And here it is. Okay, so whichever way, sometimes it's preferred to just like, drag it to the row. So here we see that our regions are listed in the rows, Asia, Australia, and summarized. So all the whole list here, it does the filtering, no need for unique or copy and remove duplicates or whatever. Pivot table does it all for you. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the total revenue. So I moved the total revenue to the values. Remember I said the values is when is where you put whatever you want to calculate, like the value, the figures, the values, yeah. Or where you want to calculate. Okay, so there we go. So just change this to currency, right? Okay, that applies to all of them. So total revenue for Australia 21, and yeah, it just does the maths for you in seconds. Okay, if we look at here, we did, okay, let's just cross check with this, our sum ifs. Asia 21, right? Sub-Saharan Africa 39. We come here. Sub-Saharan Africa is 39 and Asia 21. Now say want to sort and easily see which topic. This is random. Well, this is sorted by default in alphabetical order. I want to sort, you can sort in whatsoever way from whichever column. So we want to see from the top revenue to the lowest. We come to here, right click on the sum of total revenue. Anyway, right click and you go to show value as, right? Rather, sorry, we want to sort. So you go to sort and you go to from largest to smallest. And it sorts it from the largest value to the smallest value for you. How cute is that? Okay, we're just going to call this region. Okay. So let's try the same. And yes, you could just play around the data. Let's see, maybe we want to see total profits. I come to the pivot table field and here you see I come and I can just drag this out of the box and it goes away, and I put total profits in values and here we go, it comes in here. I right click, go to number format, currency, and there we go. We have our total profits per region. But no, it's not sorted. To sort it, you go to the column with the values, go to sort, and from largest to the smallest. And there you have it. We have the total profits per region. Okay, so let's put back our revenue, total revenue. I come here again, remove this, go back to revenue. So you can literally calculate anything here, right? Okay. sum of total revenue, currency, currency, currency. Yeah. Let's say we want to see the revenue from the different sales channels. We come to our list here, sales channels. We come here and we move it to the column. And look at this. We have, so the sales channels go into two different columns, right? So we have our region view, we have offline sales, and we have online sales, right? So from here we can see, you can easily see that the offline sales made more, generated more revenue than the online sales, right? This is all busy and loud. How about we want to have some instant, I mean, I look at this and I may still have to strain my eyes to know which is the highest value and all. I could easily sort, but let's visualize this. Let's add some color. We highlight, I'm highlighting the offline and online sales um, area. Notice I didn't highlight the grand total, just this range. Then in the home tab, I go to conditional formatting, I drop down, I go to data bar, and I select the better still. Let's just do this where I select one of it. I do offline first. I highlight offline, go to conditional formatting and the data bar, and where I add this, just any color. I go to the online highlights, go to data bar, and maybe put green. Zoom in so that we can see better. Okay, here we go. We have Asia. From here, we could easily see that Sub-Saharan Africa, I mean, from the bar, it's highest, had the highest revenue on offline sales, followed by Europe and then Asia, right? And this makes it easier to visualize. If we come to the online sales, oh, we see Europe had the highest, right? Followed by Africa, and then Australia and Oceania, on and on. So this gives us a good summary of our data, right? I mean, we could easily see it. So this has summarized the whole of the data that would use a lot of formulas to do and all that in a split second. Okay, um, I don't want to keep this and look at some other aspects of this data, maybe some other views and some other insights, maybe item view, country view, other priority, and the rest of them. I come here, I highlight all of the um, table. I right click, copy. You could also use Control C. I'm just doing so that we can see. Where I go under, come here and paste. We have a repeat of the same. For you to get the exact everything, you highlight the whole data. And I put it here. Okay, now I want to see item types. Let's take a look at item types and their sales. So region, I remove region. I move item times to row, and we have the list of them. We have the total revenue from the item type. So item types is here now. We have the online sales and online sales. So now let's see which of the other visualization, I want to see how these different products performed in the different sales channels, right? Okay. So you can literally use any of the visualization tools. You can use color, maybe color scale, whichever one works for you, really. Okay. Yeah. So here we see that we could easily see that we got our highest revenue. Oh, I could also put one here for the grand total so that we get the full picture, right? Put a green. Yeah, okay. So here we see that cosmetics sold the highest. Let's start on the grand total. Cosmetics generated the highest revenue in total, right? Followed by office appliances. Now let's see. For online sales, we see that cosmetics sold the most. So most people bought orders. Most online orders were from cosmetics and office supplies, right? Okay, and then could also see that we got the list on household appliances online. Okay, and then we come to offline and we see we get this high revenue from offline sales. So most household appliances were bought offline. Okay, and office supplies, we had them. We had cosmetics too. Most of them we got offline. Okay, baby food, and then we just see all the visuals. We could also see that snacks were all gotten online and none of them offline. So how about we want to sort the grand total and see from the highest, the lowest. Um, we come here, grand total, sort from largest to lowest. And there we have it. This is gives some good insights. So better visualization. So here we see cosmetics where I mean, there was good competition in the offline and online sales. So both offline and online did quite well in purchase of, they were almost the same, really. Um, yeah, and the cosmetics gave this company their highest revenue, right? Next was office supplies, which more of it sold online. So the others came more online, but then offline cannot be discarded because $13 million is a good one too. For household appliances, majority of it was done offline, from offline sales. Okay, baby food, I mean, it's more like a 60-40 comparison. Then meat, all the meat was sold online, and personal care items and the like snacks, all of them online sales. So people did not see it necessary buying their snacks offline when they could get it online, right? So there we have it. Okay, so let's try out something else. Perhaps we want to see the items, how these items fared in the different regions. I come to this pivot and move region down to rows. So here we see that we have the regions and the products under them and how they fared. Okay, so the first is Asia. Asia, we see the total sales offline, online, and all. We see that in Asia, household items sold the highest, right? For household items, they did more sales offline. That's the general picture. And then they sold the highest. So they made their highest revenue from household items in, and then office supplies in Asia. Okay. And their lowest was on fruits, which were mostly offline. Okay. So if we go to Australia and Oceania, um, cosmetics, none was done offline. We have most of them, or all of them, online. People prefer to buy their stuff online. We had more of sales from food. So cosmetics and baby foods were their highest revenues. Then meat came next. Now we have Central America. We see that their highest revenue was from household appliances and they were bought offline. Then Europe, wow. Cosmetics, office appliances, baby food, household appliances. So a lot of people did cosmetics and office supplies from Europe. Now we have the Middle East and like so you just get to see visualizations. Then from our total revenue here, we saw that Sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, I'm just gonna add, I didn't add this earlier. And I'd sort from the largest to the smallest. We saw that Sub-Saharan Africa made the highest revenue for this company, right? So let's see what really sold in Sub-Saharan Africa, the highest. Then you have here, you have Sub-Saharan Africa. The highest sales were on office supplies and household items. And we had cosmetics and cereals following up. So what business insights would you give this company? Oh, so there are high demand for cosmetics here in Europe and across board. We see across board office supplies and household appliances top the charts, right? Oh, of course, cosmetics too. So the company could invest more. We could recommend the company investing more on these items, and it's also regional. If we look here, office supplies did not really, or household appliances or household stuff items did not really fly in Australia and Oceania. So you don't want to spend investments on household appliances in this continent, this region, right? You've just focused on where they have their strong points. That's just some insights you could get from this. So I'd take this off. So it's just the cosmetics. Okay, I'm gonna change the name here from region to item type. Okay, so there can be different views. Now let's see something. I'm going to copy this out. Maybe move to this row, column G, and paste it again. Highlight, double tap this to stretch it. Now I'm going to remove all the conditional formatting I put. I highlight where you have the conditional formatting, go to conditional formatting and clear rules for selected cells. And there we go. I'm going to take off the sales channel from the column, so we just have the regions and the total revenue. Okay. Now let's say we want to see the percentage contribution of the total revenues to the grand total, right? I would come to my sheet, see where you have total revenue. I'll drag it again and put here. So we have two sums of total revenue and total revenue 2, right? Now for this second one, I put my cursor on it, I right click, and I go to some show value as, then you see percentage of grand total, and I click on it. Okay, percentage of grand total, and maybe I highlight, and if I want my percentage in single, I change the name here to percentage revenue. Okay, so here we see that Sub-Saharan Africa contributed 29% of the revenue generated by this company, 24%, 16%, and the likes of them. We could put our conditional formatting here, maybe using the color scale. We could easily see, even if it is sorted in alphabetical order from A to Z, we could easily locate to green and oh, yeah, this is where the highest is, and all that and all that. So there we have it. I think this would be a good place to halt. On this, you can literally visualize anything, right? Maybe let's lastly copy this, and we want to see the revenue per order priority. Take away region, put order priority, and then we see the total revenue. So we come here and we sort from largest to smallest. We can. So here we see that. Here we see that. Okay, I'll put this order priority. So we can deduce here. Here we can see that orders that were on priority H generated the highest revenue, and priority L next, and so on. So if there was more insight on this priority, maybe based on demand, there was more revenue from those. Okay, so here we get informed decisions on how we can go about this manipulating data. So we could tweak around and try out different things. Let's say we want to see this region wise for the different regions. I can drag the region here and move it to filter. So you see at the top you see region, all regions. Let me say I want to see how this fared in Asia only. I click on Asia and okay. So we see in Asia, order priority L gave us our highest revenue, followed by M and all. Okay. So it's good to have the holistic picture. I mean, why we have the holistic picture, it's good to also dig in so we do not give a general conclusion for every region. It's peculiar. The items peculiar to the different regions, just like we saw when we looked in here how some regions thrived on cosmetics, household appliances, and everything. So looking here, let's take a look at Sub-Saharan Africa that generated the highest revenue. Okay, priority M gave the most of the dough. Europe, lastly, let's look at Europe. Okay, and priority H did it, did the highest revenue. So let's say we want to see multiple items. You can select multiple items. Check this button and then you can select multiple. Look at Asia, Central America, and Europe. Okay, and then we get our visuals. So that's how you apply filters in pivot tables. Okay, now let's do one more and then we'll look at pivot charts. I'll just copy this again and go to column, paste. I don't think I pasted this correctly. If you notice, this is not showing the pivot table because I didn't copy the whole pivot, right? Here, when you insert a filter, this becomes part of the pivot table. So I highlighted only this one and it gave me this. There's situations where you may just need to get the values without the pivots that could come in handy, but I need everything, so I just highlight from here and copy everything. So copy, come here, Control V, and there you have it. The pivot table field is here. So it's a pivot table. Well, I'll still take this off the region from the filter, so I just have this. I want to have a look at the country now. Countries performance. I'll remove order priority from here and I'll put country. So this shows sum of total revenue per country. And I can come here. I want to sort from the largest, right? The smallest. So okay. So I come to the sum of total revenue, right click and sort from largest to smallest. And there you have it. Honduras gave the company 5% of its total revenue. Okay. Um, Now this is a whole lot of a long list of data, and do we really need all this? Ideally, let's see the countries that gave the top 10 performance, right? We come to this column with order priority has now changed to country, so we change it to country, right? Okay. We come here and right click and filter. I want to get the top 10. I mean, that's good insights. Top 10 countries and click on top 10. You go to filter and click on top 10. Now you see show top. You could also do bottom 10, right? So top 10 items, right? Yeah, based on sum of total revenue. If you want to do based on percentage revenue, but then here we're doing based on total revenue, sum of total revenue, and then we click on the OK. So look what it does here. It gives us the top 10 countries based on the revenue generated. We may choose to put bars here. Yeah. Okay. So these are the top 10 countries, total revenue, and this is good insights. Perhaps we want to see the bottom 10, just the same thing. We go to filter, we clear this, go to rather click on any of the text, go to filter, top 10, change it to bottom 10, sort by total revenue. Okay, so here we see that these were the bottom 10. This with total revenue may be misleading, so I'll take it off the value field, and here we go. So an insight could be to dig into why these people sold solo. Okay, and we're going to look further into all this next class. Yes, deep diving into data. Okay, let's say we want to, okay, let's say, yeah, so let's look quickly at pivot charts. We're going to look more into this in our next class, but now these are pivot tables and pivot charts. Pivot charts like give us the visuals of our tables. So let's start with our total revenue. For example, this chart here, with the total revenue, we have sum of total revenue, and then we have the percentage total revenue. If we go see at the top right of our screen, we see pivot analyze. Once you click on the pivot table, this pivot table analyze comes up, and then the design tool. We'll get into that in the next class. The pivot analyze. Here, if you go to the right, you see pivot charts. You click on it, and you get your visuals. Okay, have a line graph. I'm just going to take off the percentage just for the purpose of stats. By the way, yes, you can close a pivot field, and if you want it opened again, you click on the pivot chart, right click, and you see show field lists, and it comes back up. I'll just close it for now. Oh, I want to take off this percentage revenue, so I'll show you that. So just try out different charts. So for this, let's take a look at how it's going to look. We go to pivot analyze and click on pivot charts, and then we click on it. Okay, this gives us continents, the different regions, the charts and all, and we can walk around it. I'll just change this chart type. Change chart type. There are different options you could try out. This is a pivot table. This is rather a pie chart, a donut chart. There's the area chart, bar chart, so you could just find what suits you. Let's use the donut chart for this. So here we see different options. You see the different colors. You see the legend, the mapping. I could just change this name to revenue by region. Click on these data labels. We can set data labels. Right. If we click on the data labels, we could change the colors, coordinates, and all that. We could also summarize this by percentage, right? I'll just point on this in the next class, because I didn't mention it when we had the class. Go to labels, go to more options. You could see label options, percentage. I take off the value, and I just want to see percentage. Close this, and all. And there we go. We have some good insights from the color. See, I think it's truncated. Okay, good. So we see Sub-Saharan Africa, 29% from the color code. You see that we have. Drag this out to point out that this gave us the highest revenue. North America gave the lowest revenue, and there you go. There you go. Your chart is ready. And this gives some insights as to the performance of this company over this period of time. Okay, we'll stop here for now and continue in the other class. So here was the task, right? Our table where we had the region, offline and online sales in it, right? I want you to create a chart and create a pivot chart with this, with any chart type of your choice, pivot analyze, pivot chart, whichever one, anyone that suits most appropriately for you, and send a screenshot on the WhatsApp group. That's the assignment. Thank you all. Hope you grasped. Take care.